One day, Haru wakes up from sleep in a strange world, and he does not know where he is. And as soon as he gets up, he finds people with him he has never seen before, and they seem to be facing the same problem, and he does not remember anything. So they all gather together, and they see people who look strange and are wearing armor, so they go to ask them about the place they are in, and one of them directs them to the leader of the Adventurers Guild. And as soon as they stand in front of him, they learn that the new world they are in is full of monsters, and the only job for the people there is hunting monsters under the Adventurers Guild. But the dangerous thing is that they do not have magical power or anything supernatural. They are just completely normal humans. And the guild leader gives each one of them some money, so they can manage in the city, and tells them you will join the Adventurers Guild as trainees, and when you prove your competence we will appoint you officially. And after a while, Haru joins a group of beginner adventurers, and they go to one of the goblin monsters to kill it, and they all try one after another to strike it, and each one of them uses the weapon he has. But the goblin is very strong and manages to hit them. And he notices the mage Shihoru who is with them standing alone, so he attacks her and manages to hit her. But quickly the leader Manato goes and pushes him away with his staff, and uses a healing spell and heals Shihoru. And he calls out to all the members of the group, and tells them this is a life or death battle for all of us. There is no alternative to winning today. And unfortunately they are all very exhausted, and unable to kill it, but they fight until the last breath. And at night, they all sit down to have dinner after they failed to kill the monsters. And after that they prepare themselves again so they can go on a new trip to kill the goblin monster, and when morning comes they start moving in the city. So Manato tells them we only have 2 coins left, we must kill monsters and earn money, before we die from hunger. And we learn that for the group to become strong, each one must specialize in a different role. So Haru goes to the Thieves Guild and specializes as a thief, because it depends on speed and intelligence instead of strength and muscles, and he meets there his instructor who will teach him the basics. And after 7 days, Haru has become a beginner thief, and Mogozo has become a warrior, while Rana has become a dark knight, and Yume a hunter and Shihoru a mage, and Manato remained a healer as he is beside his role as the leader of the team. And when they all gather again they go to face the goblin monster. But they find the monsters all gathered together, and they cannot attack them, so Yume looks at them and feels regret about her situation, and says these monsters eat better food than us. And unfortunately this is because we have spent half a month without killing a single monster and could not earn money. And at night, Haru wakes up from deep sleep and decides that he will go out to sit outside for a while, and he meets Manato in front of him, who was in one of the cafes in the city, to gather information from it. And on the next day the team goes to the forest, and this time they meet a goblin monster standing alone. And while they are approaching it slowly so it does not notice them, Rana decides to shout and attack on his own. So the monster notices him and tries to escape. So Yume throws an arrow toward it to stop it, and quickly Haru and Ranta go to the monster, and they engage with it. But the monster is faster than them and dodges their attacks and hits him in his back, and jumps in the air and is about to strike him with the knife. But quickly Manato goes to him and reaches him at the last moment, and they surround him all together so he cannot escape. And Mogozo and Rana from behind manage to injure the goblin. But despite that the monster does not die, and continues in the battle, and suddenly it screams at the top of its voice. And it throws a knife at Haru and hits him in his shoulder, and jumps on him and chokes him. So Haru stabs the knife into its neck so it can die. But despite that the monster remains alive because of the thickness and strength of its skin. So Randa goes to it and pulls it away from Haru, and quickly Mogozo brings down his sword on it, and manages to kill it finally, and Manata goes to Haru and heals his wound, and Rana was about to go take the loot from the monster. Suddenly the monster wakes up again and grabs the knife and strikes it into Rana's leg, and tries to escape. But Rana runs after it and catches it, and stabs the knife into it several times to make sure it died completely, and will not wake up again. And after that Manato and Haru go to the market so they can sell the loot they took from the monster. And after a while, they meet with the team again, and they decide that they will separate from each other so they can buy some things. So Haru leaves them and walks in the market alone, and looks at the adventurers while they are happy as they buy their items, and wishes that he is rich so he can do like them. And he looks to the other side, and sees adventurers sleeping in the street because they are poor, so he remembers the situation he is in and feels sad about himself. And after a while, they go on a hunting trip, and Yume and Haru walk together so they can search for a monster, but after a long search they do not find anything, and that is because of the heavy rain, and unfortunately they are forced to leave the place without earning any money. And day after day, Haru's team achieves almost no gains, because they were not able to kill a single monster, to the point that their clothes got ruined and there is no money to buy others. And on one of the days, they decide that they will go to the old city to hunt there, because the goblin monsters in it are weaker than the new city, and they search everywhere, and they manage to find a monster sleeping alone. So Ranta approaches it and strikes it with his sword. But the monster wakes up from sleep and grabs him from his face. So Manato quickly goes to it and strikes it with his staff on its head, and manages to kill it, and they take from it 4 silver coins as loot, so the team becomes happy because they finally earned money. And after several days they are able to go face many monsters, even if they were in groups, and they were planning well before they attack anyone. And they know information about the nature of the place, and they earn more coins, and they are finally able to buy some clothes and food for themselves. And when they return to their home, Haru is sitting fixing his dagger, so Ranta and Mogozo enter while they have food with them. So Manato calls them, and tells them we must gather money and learn many skills, so we can defeat more monsters and take more money. And at night, while everyone is sleeping, Haru tells Manato, thank you for everything you do with us. You always take care of us. I think that if you were not with us we would have all died. And after that they go to hunt a new monster, after the group gain new skills, and Ranta engages with the monster and tries to kill it, so Yume goes with him, and helps him with her knife, and she manages to inflict severe injuries on it, and then Haru rushes at it, and uses his skill, and stabs it from behind, and kills it very easily. And then they go to another monster, and Shihoru uses her magic and manages to restrain it, and quickly Manato strikes it with his staff and hits it in its shoulder, so Ranta rushes at it and strikes it with the sword and kills it. And they rest a little before they continue again. So Manato tells them we have become a good group, now we can defeat 3 goblin monsters at once. And all of this is thanks to our new skills, and they stand up so they can continue their hunt. But suddenly Haru notices one of the monsters shooting an arrow toward Manato. So he runs quickly toward him, and pushes him and takes the hit in his place. So the monster shoots another arrow and hits Haru's leg. So Mogozo goes to him and carries him and takes him to a safe place. And quickly Manato approaches him and heals him. But suddenly he hears the sound of Yumai and Shihoru screaming. And when he looks there he finds a giant goblin monster coming to attack them. And suddenly they find themselves surrounded by many monsters, so both Mogozo and Ranta try to hold them off until Manato heals Haru, and after he finishes, he calls them all to escape before they die. And while they are running, a monster shoots arrows at them and hits Manato's back, but he endures until they get out of that place safely, and as soon as they finally escape, and Manato makes sure that they are safe, suddenly he falls to the ground and the arrow appears in his back. So they all go to him and support him so he can heal himself. But from the amount of exhaustion and fatigue, he is not able to use his magic. So Haru approaches him and asks him, what should I do now? But Manato replies with difficulty, you are the leader after me. And then he dies forever. But they do not believe it, and they try to help him as much as possible. And they quickly go to his doctor who was teaching him, and Haru asks him to heal him at any cost. So the doctor goes to him, and informs them of the great shock. Manato is already dead and will not return to life again, and tells them you must make a funeral worthy of him. Burn his body so he does not turn into a monster, so you will not be forced to face your friend as an enemy. You must move as quickly as possible. So they all begin to cry because they cannot believe themselves. And at night, they go to burn Manato's body, amid the pain of everyone present. And after they finish, they sit in front of Manato's grave before they leave. But after a while Ranta decides to get up and leave, and tells them how long will you stay here? There is no benefit from what you are doing. But suddenly Yume goes to him and slaps him on his face, because of the words he said, and sits on the ground and breaks down crying. And after that, Ranta is sitting in the cafe alone, so Haru and Mogozo go to him so they can sit with him, and talk about the future of the team. So Ranta tells them honestly, I do not want to continue in this work from now on. But Haru argues with him and tells him, what do you mean you do not want to continue? And they keep arguing and their voices rise at each other, to the point that everyone in the place starts looking at them. So Mogozo gets angry at them so they both become quiet, and tells them this is not the time for a fight between us, we should look for a solution for what we are in. So Haru says we will not be able to continue alone, we will not be able to manage anything, even food and sleeping require money. And suddenly a friend of theirs goes to them, and tells them I knew about what happened with Manato, he was the core of your team. But unfortunately healers have a high death rate. And that is because monsters target them, because they know that they are the ones who heal the teams. Anyway, you must think about the future. I have a healer who can join your team. And on the next day, they go so they can meet the new healer, and she is a girl named Mary. But she is a strange and withdrawn girl, and does not even respond to their greeting. And after that they go to the old city so they can hunt monsters. And they are surprised that Mary is not cooperative with them at all. And she even refuses to fight the goblin, and tells them this is not my role, I am supposed to heal you only. And even when the team goes to attack the monsters, and they get injured while they are in the battle, Mary refuses to heal them, just because their injuries are not serious. and they can endure while they are like that. And at night, the men go and sit together in the cafe. So Haru says this girl is not cooperative with us at all. If Manato was with us, we would have won all the battles today, because he was making the plans and he was the healer and the leader at the same time. And after that they go to sit with Yume and Shihoru, so they can talk together and find a solution. So Yume tells them we must try to build a relationship with Mary, at least so she can heal us normally. We must consider her as one of us. And on the next day, they go to Mary so they can take her and hunt monsters, and as soon as they arrive there Haru greets her, but Mary does not respond to him, and when they walk a bit Yume and Shihoru try to start a conversation with her, and ask her some questions, but Mary responds to them with cold answers, as if she does not want to talk with them. And as soon as they reach the monsters, Ranta and Moguzo rush at them and engage with them, but they get injured in the battle, and they are forced to continue the fight because they know that Mary will not heal them, but in the end they both manage to kill 2 monsters by themselves. And at the same time, Yumi and Haru are sitting fighting another monster, so Shihoru helps them and uses her magic and manages to restrain the monster, so Yume goes to it and hits it in its shoulder, and Haru comes from behind it and drives his dagger into it and manages to kill it finally. And after they finish, Mary goes to Moguzo, and tells him take off your helmet, and as soon as he takes it off she finds that his injury is somewhat serious, so she apologizes to him that she did not heal him at first and heals him immediately. And when they go to rest a bit, Haru tells Mary, I want to know more about you and your personality, and I want to talk with you also about our roles in the battle. But Mary refuses to talk about herself, and tells him if my work does not please you tell me directly, and I will take my things and leave. And after that they return to sit in the cafe again, but they are surprised when Mary enters to them, and she looks at them and does not even greet, and walks away immediately, and they see her while she is talking with another person, and they find him the leader of a very strong group, so Rana gets angry from the situation, because she does not consider them as friends to her. And on the next day, they go to face some monsters, so Haru feels that Moguzo is cautious while he attacks them, because he does not have a helmet, because if he takes a small hit he might die from it, so he decides that he will go help him, and comes from behind the monster and hits it in its hand. So Moguzo takes advantage of the situation and strikes it with his sword and kills it. And after that they walk a bit so they can search for other monsters, so Haru tells Moguzo I will help you with money, so you can buy a helmet for you. We are a team here. We will all be in trouble if something happens to you. So Yume and Shihoru decide that they will contribute with them for the helmet. But suddenly a monster attacks them, and quickly Mary defends Shihoru and strikes it and throws it away. And another monster rushes at them, but Mary strikes it with the staff and kills it. So Haru is amazed because she helped them this time, and thanks her for what she did. And after they finish the fight, they stand to say goodbye to Mary before she leaves to go to her home, so Haru calls her and suggests to her that she comes to have dinner with them, but Mary refuses and leaves, so Haru tells the team, I want to go ask the leader of the group who talked with Mary yesterday about her personality and her past. And at night, they all go to him, and Haru asks him to tell him about her and about her past. So his assistant approaches them and talks to them instead of him, and tells them I am the one who knows her the most because I was with her in the team. Me and Mary were friends in a strong team, and we were able to buy the official badge after only 10 days, and we were not facing any danger while we were hunting monsters in the mine, but none of us noticed that we were putting a big burden on Mary. She was always laughing with us, and she was healing us even if it was a small scratch, and as soon as we were surrounded by monsters she would come close to us quickly and help us. Mary was doing the work of 3 people. But one day, we encountered the giant wolf monster. That monster was very strong, and many adventurers died at its hands. We were supposed to run away, but we were arrogant and decided that we would face it. And unfortunately it hit me and I lost consciousness after that. And when I woke up from sleep, 2 of our team were dead, and our leader was trying to attack the monster alone, while he was covered in blood and injuries. So I screamed at Mary so she could heal the leader, but she looked at me with tears in her eyes and told me, I am sorry. I cannot use magic now, and unfortunately on that day we lost 3 of our friends, and since then she stopped laughing completely, and became like you see her now. I took her and we went to that team so we could join it, but she refused and left immediately. Because every time she sees me she remembers the past where her friends were killed and she could not help them, and after that she moved from one team to another, but in the end she could not keep her job. Besides that I heard a lot of talk about her. I ask you to help her and free her from what she is in. And after that they leave so they can go home, so Rana says I understood Mary's circumstances, but I do not have to treat her in a special way and tolerate her. We also went through a painful memory, so Haru replies to him if we try to treat her kindly she will definitely understand us and respond with us. And on the next day they go on a new hunting trip, And while Haru and Yumei are sitting observing the monsters, they both notice a monster holding Haru's dagger in its hand, and that monster took it when it fell from him. So Haru realizes that this monster is the one who killed Manato. So he gets very angry and gets up so he can kill it. But Yumei stops him at the last moment so he does not act recklessly, because those monsters are strong and he might die. And after that they return again to the team, and inform them that they did not find a suitable monster to kill, and Haru says before we leave, I want to talk with Mary for a while. I heard your story yesterday, and we do not know how to deal or even talk with you, and we are also like you, by the way. We had a healer in our group, but unfortunately he died in one of the battles, because we were not able to protect him well. That healer was healing us, even if we were injured with small scratches, and he was our leader and a fighter at the same time, meaning he was doing 3 roles at once, and none of us felt anything. But after he died, we all thought that it is impossible to continue again, but we tried to hold ourselves together and decided to invite you, because we will not be able to continue in this work without a healer. Originally we were separated and the one who brought us together was Manato, and from here we became friends, and you are also a friend to us. And after that they go home, and they say goodbye to Mary before they leave. And Haru asks her if she wants to come with them to buy a helmet for Moguzo, but Mary refuses to go with them, so Haru suggests to her that she comes to have dinner with them, but Mary refuses for the second time. But she thanks him this time before and leaves immediately, and after that they go to the market so they can buy a helmet for them. And after that they go through many battles, and they are able to win them easily, because Moguzo no longer is as cautious as before, and they became living more happily than before, and the distance between them and Mary becomes smaller little by little, and at the same time, they keep watching the goblin monsters who killed Manato so they can kill them at the right time, and they keep training every day, and make plans so they can become strong enough. And while they are training, they are able to sit with Mary and understand her more, even that she started agreeing to have dinner with them, but she still was not laughing. And also they are able to gain new equipment and newer skills, and they go to the monsters and use them on them, and Haru learns how to hide the sound of his footsteps, while he moves so the monsters do not notice, and Shihoru learns sleep magic, and Randa learned the skill of lunging at the enemy, and Moguzo shouts at the monsters so he can paralyze their movement, and Yumei improved the accuracy of her bow, and Mary started attacking the monsters and became more cooperative than before. And on one of the days, they finally prepare themselves to face the monsters that killed Manato. So Haru says we are here today to restore our pride. First we must all come back alive again, and take the right of Manato who died because of us. We are now strong and we have skills and weapons. And we have Mary who has become helping us in battles. If we lose we will live in this pain forever. So Mary says, and in my previous team I left my friends to die in front of my eyes. But now I will try to protect you. I will not let my friends die again. And after that they start moving toward the monsters, and at the same time, the monsters are sitting in their base, and they are playing with each other to pass their time. And there are 2 outside watching the situation in case someone attacks them. And during that, Haru's team is ready and prepared for the attack, and as soon as they see Haru's signal, Yumei shoots her arrow at a monster that also has arrows and kills it. And quickly Haru runs toward another monster and comes from behind it and stabs it with the dagger. But unfortunately the monster does not die, and turns to Haru and tries to hit him. But Rana runs to it and strikes it with the sword and finishes it. So quickly the monsters go and wake up the giant goblin, so they can start the battle. And after Haru's team finishes with the monsters outside, they storm the place so they can continue killing the goblins inside. And as soon as they enter they see 2 coming down from the stairs, so they all gather together and manage to kill them. And after that they go up to the 2nd floor, and Ranta and Moguzo meet the giant goblin with some monsters, and they shoot some arrows at them but Moguzo uses his shield and blocks the attacks. So the giant goblin goes and hits him with his club, and as soon as he asks for support from the rest of the monsters, Randa goes to them quickly and faces them so he can keep them away from Moguzo. And at the same time, Yumei throws an arrow toward the leader of the monsters, but it does not affect him and he removes the arrow from his body, and rushes at her so he can kill her, but she dodges it, so Haru goes with her so he can help her and engages with the monster, and they both try to hit him, but there is no use. And on the other side, Rana is fighting 2 monsters, and he waits when they attack him so he can use his skill and kill them. But the monsters are smart and know how to attack humans, so they stay in their place and wait for him to attack first. And during that, Shihoru activates her sleep magic and throws it at the giant goblin, so Moguzo can hit it while it is asleep. But before he hits it, a monster throws a stone to stop him, and another monster goes to the giant goblin and wakes it up quickly. And at the same time, the leader of the monsters manages to drive his spear into Yumei's shoulder, and quickly Haru rushes at him so he can hit him, so Mary goes with him so she can help him, And she manages to hold him and gives Haru a chance to drive the dagger into its stomach, and he tries to stab it again in its head. But the monster resists with all its strength and hits Haru with the spear and throws him away, and takes himself and escapes quickly. So Mary goes to Yume and heals her wound, and takes Shihoru and they go to Magazo so they can help him in the fight against the giant goblin. But they find him injured and exhausted from the battle, so Mary heals him quickly, and suddenly Shihoru decides that she will rush at the enemy lines, and uses her magic and throws it at the giant, and manages to paralyze its movement. And as soon as Magazo stands he raises his sword, and brings it down on the giant goblin and kills it finally. So the rest of the monsters try to escape quickly, but Rana rushes at them and manages to kill one of them, and Haru gathers the team again, and tells them we are not finished yet. We must kill all the goblin monsters that escaped, especially that we still did not defeat the leader, nor the one who killed Manato. And immediately they take themselves and search for the monsters. And they find the leader sitting on a chair and dying, and as soon as Rana goes and raises his sword at him so he can kill him, suddenly a monster throws an arrow at Mary, and manages to hit her in her back, so the whole team gathers around her so they can save her. And here the leader takes advantage of their distraction, and gets up from the chair and hits them. And the monster throws another arrow, but this time it hits Haru's hand. So Rana goes to the leader and tries to kill him, but he cannot. But quickly Magazo comes from behind him and brings his sword down on him, and manages to kill him finally. And after that Haru gets up from beside Mary and leaves her with them, and goes by himself so he can kill the archer who escaped quickly, and rushes at him and engages with him in a strong fight. And Haru manages to hit him and makes the dagger fall from his hand, and tries to drive his knife into the monster. But the monster resists and sits on him and keeps choking him, and he is about to kill him, but Haru manages to reach the dagger that fell from the monster at the right time, and takes it quickly and hits him in his neck, and manages to finish him. And after a while, the team goes to Manato's grave so they can visit him, and they stand silent for a while. So Haru takes out the official badge after they bought it, and says to Manato, we are no longer beginners like before. In the past we did not have money to buy food or even clothes. And we were saving in everything, and we did not know how to pay the rent of the house we are in. Now we bought the badge and became official adventurers. So Shihoru goes to the grave and puts Manato's badge on it, and tells him we bought this badge especially for you, we all contributed so we can get it. I know that you would have told us save the money, and instead buy equipment for yourselves, but we will not listen to your words. And Shihoru starts crying, so Yume goes to her and hugs her so she can comfort her. And after that they take themselves and leave so they can go home. So Mary tells Haru while they are walking, what is wrong with you? You do not look happy even though you have taken revenge for your friend. So he tells her unfortunately after all this Manato will not return again. The painful feelings will never be fixed. We will keep living in this pain forever. And after that Haru says goodbye to her, and Mary leaves immediately. And on the next day, the team decides to take today as a rest from hunting, after the effort they made in killing the monsters yesterday. But since it is the first time they take a break since they arrived in this world, none of them knows how to enjoy this day. And after a while, Haru sits with Mogozo and asks about the rest of the team members. So he tells him Ranta took the fishing rod and went to catch some fish. As for Yume and Shihoru, I do not know anything about them, because I have not seen them since the morning. Maybe they went to buy some things, or they are still sleeping in the room. As for me, I will go to the blacksmith to fix my armor and helmet, because they were heavily damaged in yesterday's battle. And after that Haru goes to the market so he can buy some things, and after he finishes he walks a bit in the city, and looks at the houses and their beauty, and decides that he will go to Mary so he can talk with her a bit. And at night, they gather together in the cafe, and at the same time, Haru is standing talking with their friend, and learns from him that the goblins they killed yesterday were from the new city, because their equipment and fighting style were completely different. So their friend tells him I heard that many goblin monsters are coming from the new city to the old city, because they are very angry about the death of their friends. So Mary says we must not go there for a while until the situation calms down a bit. And after that Haru returns to his team again, so they can find a solution for the situation they are in. So Moguzo suggests to them that they change hunting locations. So Haru says, what do you think about going to the mine? I do not know other places to go besides it, but if we go there we must be careful so we do not face the giant wolf monster. And we stay there for as long as possible until the old city returns to normal again. So everyone present likes the idea and agrees to it. But suddenly Mary stands up from the chair and catches her breath while she is shocked, because she remembered the past, because her friends died inside that mine, and she apologizes to them and takes her things and leaves immediately. So Haru quickly stands up and follows her, and keeps running after her until he reaches her house, and finds her standing on her balcony and looking at the sky, and approaches her and apologizes to her that he suggested that place in the first place. So Mary says, if I go there I am sure that I will remember the memories again, but I want to get rid of this pain, and I will not be able to do that alone, and I feel that if I do not overcome this I will not be able to live my life. I want your help so I can get rid of these memories. So when Haru hears her words he cries, and tells her, I am very happy that you asked for our help. And after that they decide that before they go to the mine, they fix their equipment and increase their skills and strength. And because of that Haru goes to his instructor, so he can learn the skill of surprise attack. And on the next day, they finally prepare so they can enter the mine. And as soon as they enter they see monsters they have never seen before, and they engage with them in a very intense fight. Because these monsters are much stronger than goblins, but Mogozo manages to use his sword and kill one of them, and Yume goes to the second and throws knives at it, and runs quickly toward it and strikes it with her knife. And she also manages to kill one. And at the same time Mogozo goes toward Haru so he can help him in his battle. So Haru takes advantage that Mogozo is engaged with the monster, and comes from behind it and stabs it in its neck without it noticing, and manages to kill it. And they both go to Ranta so they can help him, but Ranta refuses their help, and decides to rely on himself in killing it, and uses fire magic and throws it at it. But despite that the monster is not affected and rushes at him again. So Ranta is surprised that the monster is able to move, but he tries to use his skills so he can kill it, and during that, the whole team is sitting watching Ranta, and waiting for him to finish it so they can continue their path. And they offer help to him more than once. But each time Ranta refuses, and in the end he manages to hit it in its hand and rush at it, and kills it finally. So Mary goes to one of the dead monsters, and says these monsters are among the weakest monsters of this mine. We are still at the first level, but despite that we face difficulty in killing them, and then the team goes to them and takes their loot from them, and they prepare so they can go down to the second level. And they go down quietly so the remaining monsters do not notice them, and while they are walking slowly, they hear a loud howling sound, so they become very afraid of the sound, but they decide that they will continue on their path. And after that they face a group of monsters, and Shihoru uses magic and paralyzes their movement, so the rest of the members take advantage of the situation, and attack them at the same time, and they manage to kill them all. And on the other side, Haru is standing behind a monster, and uses the surprise stab skill, and manages to kill it. And after they finish killing the monsters, Haru suggests to them that they stop here, and continue tomorrow so they can rest a bit, and asks Mary about how she feels so far. So Mary looks at him and smiles, and tells him I am fine. And after they return and while everyone is sleeping, Haru tells himself, recently there has been no harmony between us and Ranta, and even today we went through many situations. I am supposed to be the leader and I must talk with him. Surely if Manato was here now he would have done the same thing. And he calls Ranta and tells him I want to talk with you outside alone. And after they go outside, Haru says to himself honestly, I do not know what to talk with him about, or how. So Ranta says I know what you want to say, but I am doing my role in the team very well. Even today I proved that I can deal with a monster alone without anyone's help. So Haru replies to him, but if we unite together we can kill it in a single moment. So Ranta tells him there is no guarantee that we will unite in killing monsters every time. I train myself so that if anything happens. So Haru says to himself it is true that Ranta does roles that none of us can do. But after Manato's death and Mary joining, he started thinking about himself more than the group. But Ranta gets bored of him and leaves him and walks away. And after that Haru sleeps in his place, and when he wakes up from sleep, he finds Yume sitting and hitting the target with her knife, and tells him these knives my instructor bought them for me, and I was very happy at that time. And after a while, the team goes to the mine, and Mary has been able to gain a new skill during this period, through which she can affect the monsters and also paralyze their movement at the same time, and the rest of the team members go and take advantage of this skill, and attack the monsters, and they manage to kill one monster finally, and they go quickly so they can help Yume, and Haru rushes at it and strikes it with the dagger, and then Moguzo comes from behind it and drives his sword into it, and they go to the last one and gather on it together, and they manage to finish it. And after they finish, they walk among agricultural lands inside the mine, and they see monsters that look very strange, but while they are walking on the path, they notice monsters standing far away, so they crouch quickly so no one notices them. But unfortunately Ranta hits a thread on the ground, and triggers many bells, so the monsters hear that sound and start howling. So they move quickly and quietly, but suddenly Mary notices the giant monster that killed her friends walking in front of them. So Mary is shocked and catches her breath with difficulty and remembers the past. So Haru quickly calls her and tries to wake her up, so Mary apologizes to him. But suddenly the monster approaches them so it can know the source of the sound, but it does not notice them and walks away immediately. So they move quickly and go down to the next level in the mine. And as soon as they go down they find the atmosphere very hot, because of the presence of lava everywhere. So the whole team feels that Mary is not okay, especially that the level they are in her friends died there. And they are forced to move without making a sound, because if a monster notices them, it will call the rest of the monsters and they will kill them. And after that Haru jumps on a monster and uses the surprise stab skill, so he can kill it without making a sound. And they manage to go to the room where Mary's friends died, because it is a place that does not have many monsters, and while they are sitting resting a bit, they hear a strange sound coming from far away. And suddenly Mary's dead friends appear in the form of monsters, and they are coming so they can attack them. So Mary goes to them and tells them, it has been a long time since I saw you. I came here so I can free you from what you are in. But suddenly one of them uses his magic and throws it at Haru, but he manages to dodge the hit at the right time. So Rana and Mogozo rush at two of them and engage with them in a fight, so Shihoru tries to help them and uses her magic on them, but it is weak and does not affect them. And at the same time, one of her friends uses his magic and makes a wall of fire. But Mary decides that she will break through that wall, and uses one of her spells on him and manages to free his body. And after that Haru goes to Randa so he can help him in the fight, because Randa is facing a thief like Haru. So Haru engages and tries to hit him, but unfortunately the monster knows all his movements. But Ranta takes advantage that the thief is not noticing him, and rushes at him and manages to cut his leg. And quickly Mary comes from behind him, and uses the spell and manages to free the body of her second friend. And after that they go to Mogozo so they can help him, so Rana attacks him and distracts him, and quickly Haru comes from behind him and restrains him. And Mogozo manages to cut his hand using his sword, so Mary goes to him, and uses the spell and manages to free the body of her last friend, and falls to the ground and cries. And after that they sit to rest a bit, so Mary says, I finally managed to free the bodies of my friends, and all of this is thanks to your help. Thank you very much. So Haru goes to her and extends his hand to her, so Mary shakes his hand and stands up from the ground. So they all say, your friends turned out to be very strong. We must increase our strength more, and learn new skills so that if we face a monster with the same strength. So Haru tells them, now we will stop here and return home again. But suddenly the giant wolf monster storms the place at them, so Haru shouts loudly and tells them run quickly, and suddenly the monster attacks Haru with his giant sword, and hits him in his hand, and runs quickly toward him so he can finish him. But Haru escapes before he hits him, but suddenly the monster shouts loudly and calls the rest of the monsters. So the monsters prepare and take their weapons, so Mogozo uses the loud shout skill so he can paralyze their movement. And the rest of the members take advantage of the situation and escape quickly. But while they are running, one of the monsters grabs Shihoru's leg and makes her fall to the ground. So Rana goes to it and waves his sword, so the monster gets afraid and runs. But he is shocked when he finds another group of monsters running after him, and they jump quickly on the ladder so they can escape. But suddenly the giant monster appears while he is angry and breaks the ladder on them. So Haru tries to run quickly and hold on to the rest of the ladder before he falls. But unfortunately his hand slips, but Randa catches him at the last moment, so Haru tries to climb up so they can both continue running and escape. But suddenly the giant monster throws a big iron at them, so Rana falls down and becomes surrounded by the monsters, and unfortunately Haru fails to save him. So Rana tells him, run away quickly. You are the leader, and if you die with me the team will be in a big problem. So Haru runs quickly and promises him that he will return to him before he dies. And as soon as Haru reaches the team above, he tells them Randa will not be able to come out from this path, and asks Mary to guide him to another path that Ranta can escape from, since she stayed for a while in this mine. So Mary guides them to a path, so they all prepare and run quickly so they can reach Ranta. And at the same time, Ranta holds his sword and stands in front of the monsters, and prepares himself for the fight until the last moment in his life, and tries to throw a stone at them so he can hit them, because unfortunately they are able to dodge it. And after a while, Ranta manages to escape from the monsters and climb up, and lies on the ground so he can rest a bit because of the battle he fought. But suddenly, he finds himself surrounded by strange creatures, but they do not harm him. So he decides that he will hide among them so none of the monsters can see him. But suddenly a monster stands in front of him, and luckily it cannot see him, because these creatures are surrounding him, and he starts thinking how he can get out of this mine. And on the other side, Mary is sitting healing Haru, because they are preparing so they can go rescue Ranta. So Haru tells them, first we must all return alive again, second we will all try to save Ranta, but we do not want recklessness, so none of us gets injured or dies. So Yume says, everyone here knows that I hate Ranta very much, and that is because of the harsh words he says, or the bullying toward me, but honestly I will miss him a lot, and I do not want him to die and leave me alone. And Yume starts crying, so Shihoru goes to her and hugs her so she can comfort her. And at the same time, one of the monsters goes to the creatures so it can see their strange situation. But as soon as it approaches them, Rana manages to drive his sword into it and kill it quietly. But unfortunately another monster notices, and as soon as Randa comes out so he can see the situation, the monster notices him and uses its howl so it can call the rest of the monsters. So Rana runs while he is unable to move properly. And during that Haru and the rest hear the sound of the howl, and they notice Rana while he is running quickly. So Haru is very surprised because Rana managed to climb up from the situation he was in. So Rana goes and hides in a small shack. But suddenly he finds the giant wolf monster, and it hits with its hand and destroys the shack, and quickly Randa tries to take himself and run. But suddenly Yume reaches him and hits the monster with an arrow in its eye. So Randa takes advantage of the situation and escapes quickly, and walks a bit and finally finds Haru in front of him. And at the same time, Mary and Mogozo and Shuhoru attack the small monsters. And after a while Mary manages to heal Ranta. And after that they keep attacking with all their strength until they scatter the monsters and manage to escape from them immediately. And after that they go to a small place so they can hide, and Mary manages to heal Ranta completely. So Ranta says, I thought that I would not see you again. At that time I felt sadness and tightness in my chest. And after that Haru calls them, and tells them come on let us return home quickly. Today was a long and exhausting day. While they are trying to climb out of this mine, and they think that they have finally escaped from the monsters, Mary tells Haru, I will not be able to use magic for a while. The maximum I can do is heal anyone only one time. We must get out of here as quickly as possible, so the team continues on their way to return home again, while they are being careful. But suddenly the giant wolf monster appears again, and it is determined to kill them all one after another. So Shihoru throws her magic at it, but it is not affected at all, so Magazo rushes at it while holding his sword. But the monster grabs the sword and breaks it. So Mary calls them and tells them this monster, whenever it gets injured it becomes stronger. So Shihoru falls to the ground shocked and catches her breath with difficulty. And Haru stands in front of the monster and asks himself, what are we supposed to do now? We must escape because we have no other choice. But will we be able to escape from this monster? And Haru rushes at it and tries to restrain it and calls to the whole team loudly and orders them to run away. And tells Rana you are the leader after me if anything happens to me. And suddenly they both fall hard to the ground. So Mary tries to go down to reach him, but Ranta prevents her and pulls her so they can escape. So Mary cries because she could not save her friend from death, just as she failed to save her friends. So Haru looks at them while he is unable to move, but suddenly he hears Ranta's voice telling him do not give up. So Haru says Ranta is right, and ties his hand so he can continue fighting the monster, and holds the dagger and prepares for the battle, and removes the badge and throws it on the ground, and says to himself I hope Mary returns here again, so she can cast the spell that will free my body. And Haru activates his stabbing skill, and sees a glowing line and the monster is moving slowly, so Haru runs on its arm and follows the line and manages to drive the dagger into its eye, and finally manages to kill the monster. But Haru is no longer able to move, and faints from exhaustion. And after a while, Haru opens his eyes again, and finds himself lying on his bed and Mary sitting next to him. So Mary laughs and smiles as soon as she sees him. And after that she takes him so he can see the rest of the team. And as soon as he goes outside he finds them gathered together, and asks them what happened to the monster. So Ranta gives him a bag with a lot of money in it, and tells him the reward for killing that monster was 30 gold coins. And tells him we did not want to divide the money until you wake up, because you are our leader. And after a while Haru is standing alone, so Mary goes to him, and gives him his badge that he threw on the ground, and tells him I fixed it especially for you. Thank you because you took revenge for the death of my friends. And after that Haru goes to Manato's grave so he can visit him, and tells him I managed to prove myself as the leader of the team. I think I have become like you now. I am different from the old Haru. And I will continue until I become the best adventurer in the city.